I recently sent my Acog back to Trijicon for a repair to really just refurbish the tritium that's inside. It had pretty much burned out. This scope was bought in 1999, so 16 years. And really over just the past year and a half is the tritium gone out in this thing. So it lasted a lot longer than I expected. I'd looked around though a number of places. It was very difficult to get any kind of real information about Trijicon's policy. And so I'm just going to go through my experience. It may help you go through yours if you have one of the old Acogs that you need to send back, or if you just need to send back your scope for repair. Now there's a 10-year warranty on the illumination, but there's a lifetime warranty on the scope itself. So, you know, if it's abused or damaged or whatever, that's one thing. But they do have a limited lifetime warranty on these scopes. And again, the internals, a 10-year warranty. So if your tritium's really going dim before the 10-year mark, they should replace this at no charge. And I'm saying that not having experienced it, but from what I've seen with a couple of other instances where I've read about it, there was no charge. For me, $188 to have a scope for 16 years, I think that's a really well placed investment on my part. First thing you'll need to do is go to the Trijicon website and go right here to support. And then we're going to look right over here at return authorization. You just click on it. It comes up with the return authorization policy. And then it goes through a lot of the details here. The big thing is if you're sending your scope back, it'll tell you exactly what to expect as far as the type of scope. For me, again, I was just having the tritium refurbished. So it gives the address right here on the page and attention service department. One of the things that you'll need though is a return authorization number. And so you click right down here in this little box to say that you've acknowledged and you've read it, and then you click that bottom banner. And this goes to the authorization policy. And you just put your name, address, all your information, and then there's a brief reason for the repair and whatever. Now, one of the things I want to warn you about is that if you've bought your Trijicon used and you don't have the warranty card, or if you never sent the warranty card in, that could affect the warranty. Now, one of the things for me is I had the warranty card, but I'd never sent it in. So I sent it in along with the scope. And then you submit a request for your number right here, and this just sends that to it. And then in the next few days, they'll get in touch with you. They'll send an email and tell you what the number is and all the information. Here's the email I got with the authorization number, and it says here currently they have a 2 to 4 week turnaround time for repairs and installation. They recommend that you send this UPS or FedEx, not U.S. Postal Service, but if you do, make sure you get insurance and tracking. And then it gives you all the numbers. And when you go down through here, you'll see I have my address and everything. They'll send a whole list, so I'm not going to continue on down here. But it gives you all the information that you need. And then you send your scope off. Once they received the scope, they got in touch with me with all the information. And of course, here they said that it was manufactured in 1999, so it's no longer under the warranty coverage for illumination. And so it was a total of $188 to fix it. Now, for me, replacing this scope would have been around $900 to $1,000. So the $188 is not bad to refurbish the scope as far as I'm concerned. And here's the original scope that I sent in. It's one of the TA01 NSNs. And this is one of the ones with the backup sights on top, but there's no fiber optic. The tritium on these is very faint in the first place. This is made specifically for a nighttime shooting for the tritium only. It's daylight shooting, but if you really need to see, it has a really low tritium, emitter there. I mean, it's really small, really tiny. But, it's really helpful in real low light situations. One of the things that I noticed immediately when I got the scope back was the scope caps had been replaced with new ones. And actually, once I took the scope caps off, I noticed that this adjustment area right here is brand new. I mean, everything right here and on top has been replaced. And from what I see here, it says the eyepiece assembly was replaced. So I'm 90% sure that this glass, the lens in the back, and this whole component up to here has been replaced. I think the front glass is still the original. But from what I see, for $188 to replace all this and the tritium and to ship it back to me, I felt like that was pretty fair. And again, this scope went for about 13 years, a little over, with the original tritium. One of the cool things, though, about this scope, unless you're going to use this for nighttime shooting, really, this scope is perfectly fine to use even without the tritium insert. And of course, with the fiber optic, I really like that. And of course, I have one of the newer scopes with the fiber optic, and I would opt for that if I were going to buy a new scope. To ship it, I did put it in the original Trijicon box, and I did remove the original mount, which since that time I've gotten a quick detach mount. And here's the paperwork that I received with it. There's not really any details. There's some adjustment where they repaired the illumination. Here's the $188, and then the eyepiece assembly. There's just no charge for replacing that and the internals. So I think it's all listed right here in the $188. So, really for that kind of price, to me, it's well worth it. And you don't have to worry about electronics going out. And that's one of the things I really love about Trijicon, even though a lot of their scopes now have electronic capability. I know that a lot of guys that have certain electronic sights, 10, 12, 15 years, a lot of those have just had it. I mean, they're worn out. And so, you got to pick your poison as far as I'm concerned. If you want the extra features and the technology, whether it's tritium or it's electronic sights. But regardless, I really love having etched reticles in my scope, whether it's electronic, tritium, or whatever, because you just never know, and it's great to have that as a backup. And to be honest with you, it will be your primary most of the time. So just a little heads up on what to expect if you're planning to send your Acog back to have it refurbished. If it's over 10 years old, expect to be charged. If it's under 10 years old, then let us know. And especially if you've had any experience with the Trijicon customer service, please leave it down in the comments below. This is more of just kind of some findings on my part, and I would love to see what you have to say. It may serve me and those who are watching this video later on down the road. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. And if you look very closely, it says Acog 4x32, JN8, semicolon 12, which is, I am the light of the world. He that followeth me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life. I think that's pretty awesome. Of course, that started a huge controversy when I pointed that out a few years ago with Nightline. And Trijicon since that time has had to remove any kind of biblical references for any of their contract scopes, and if you request it. But for me, it's very comforting.